The Kenya Rugby Union has made some changes in the national team's technical bench, whereby they have appointed Paul Feeney as their technical director. Paul Feeney is from New Zealand. He never made it to play for the national team in New Zealand, either 7s or 15s, but he was a coach in the South Africa, in Japan, and also played in France. Away from home, he made it well and he played very well. But now Coach Feeney is also one of the coaches who coached in Fiji and helped Fiji win the World Cup, 7th World Cup in 2005. Coach Feeney, full of experiences here in Kenya to help Kenyan teams from Morans to Shujaa to Rugby 15s, the Simbas, and to Lionesses as ladies, and also the 7s for ladies, to ensure that the national teams perform very well in terms of their performance nationally, locally, and internationally. We've been out there for a long time. We've played very poorly. The results are not really good. They're not really pleasing, but at least we are just trying to ensure that we play better. I'm talking to Coach Feeney. He's going to tell us exactly what makes him feel like Kenya has talent, what makes him feel like here in Kenya he will succeed like he did in Fiji. Coach, welcome to KT News. My name is Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
And Coach, tell us exactly, what do you think of Kenya? You've been a coach for a long time out there. You've watched these boys play, some of them, the likes of Injera, who is not here today, but some of the players who are still here, you've watched them play. What do you think of Kenya in terms of talent in rugby?
Yes, well, I've been in the country for 2 weeks, and I went to the last 2 7 series tournaments here in Nairobi and down in Mombasa, and I was impressed with the talent. So I'm very fortunate to be given an opportunity to work with the Kenyan Rugby Union. Spoke to the board, and they've got a vision to do with 7s and 15s, and something that I'm excited about, and I jumped at it. I'm passionate about both. I've coached both a lot, and when you have a look at the boys behind us, there's so much skill and there's so much talent. I'm looking forward to being involved with them, especially over the next 7 weeks to the World Cup qualifying. That's the main goal, the next 7 weeks of preparation. I've also looked at them on the circuit. I think they score a lot of tries. There's a lot of individual talent, and there's just small things which I think we need to work on. Individual skill. Those small 1%ers, as we call them, which can change games. And also, making sure defensively that teams don't score more tries than we do, which sounds obvious, but Kenya can score 3 tries a game easily. So shoring up the defence, I think, is an important part in the preparations going forward to the Olympic qualifiers.
Coach, talk about Kenya. We don't have best kickers in rugby. Kickers, they're the best people who just make things happen in terms of the kicking. You look at Dan Carter, the best kicker that I know in the world. How long does this take to train these kickers? Maybe we can have one who can just come up in courtesy of Paul Feeney, maybe.
Look, kicking takes a long time. How long exactly? How long's a bit of string? It takes years and years to perfect it, to be like a Dan Carter. He's a freak. Him and Johnny Wilkinson, so I was impressed with the kickoffs in the 7s tournaments. I thought there was a lot of good kickoffs at kickoff time. They had a lot of hang time, and it's just a matter of working and putting in a lot of hours, technically getting the right technique from a kicking perspective with the drop kick, but also just doing it thousands and thousands of times and working things out for individuals. Every individual is a little bit different, so you've got to have a look at their technique and work with them. So as long as the boys are prepared to put the work in, I'm prepared to work with them. When I was with the Blues, I was a kicking coach, and it's similar to line-out throwing. Line-out throwers have to put a lot of time by themselves in. Same with the kickers, but massively important. I'd like it that the boys could score all their tries straight under the sticks, but that's not the case.
As a coach, you've been here. You've seen these talents. You've seen the boys play in Mombasa and several other games, maybe that you've watched so far. We're not here there in terms of winning a World Cup, maybe 7s or 15s. We're not there today. The World Cup is beginning today, and we're not there. We're supposed to be there. We lost in France in the repechage games and lost to Canada and other games and other teams also. What do you think is going to take us? How long is it going to take us in terms of hard work to ensure that we win the World Cup also? We can just be famous or be happy that once in a while, for once in our lifetime, that we hit a record of winning a World Cup, maybe 15s or 7s.
Yeah, this is day one of the job, so I have to do a lot of background and have a look at the structures and see what needs to be put in place going forward in the short term and long term. I think 15s is so much harder, to get to the top of the world with the professionalism involved and you need to get players overseas playing in Europe and gaining experience like so many countries do. Look at Fiji, they must have a couple of hundred people playing in Europe, and gradually they're getting better. They're up to 9th in the world. So I think it's small steps, looking at structures internally, looking at coaching techniques and setting realistic goals. So I'm looking forward to getting around and talking to a lot of people in the different clubs and from the union and senior players, finding out what they think works, what isn't working and what needs to be put in place. And then it's just small steps and setting realistic goals and ticking them off as you go along.
Paul, in terms of skills and technical bench admiration, in terms of preparation for this coach, maybe you have teams out there that maybe need these boys. You have seen some of these boys. Maybe they are worth playing out there. To come back home and play for us, like Chipo, we have 2 boys who have been seen by we are just right now talking about the signing the contract for Ireland to play for some clubs in Ireland. That's experience coming back to Kenya when they are called back maybe for the national team 7s, maybe 15s. They can deliver. How much can we put into this so that we make sure that maybe we have players playing out there, when they come home, they deliver for the national team?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the level of the boys and find out if boys are willing to go overseas and if they want to, and then try and find placements for them. Because, if you can get 10 boys playing overseas or 5 in the short term and grow that to over 3 or 4 years, 20 or 25, as you say, when they come back, they've been taught better techniques. Then they come back and speak to the local coaches and help the local players and mentor the young boys and pass on the information that they've been lucky enough to be able to receive. That's where the game's going to grow, and that's where you're going to get massive games. So I just have to look at that going forward, talk to a lot of people, and then, if we can place some people overseas, I think that's where you've got to go to grow the game.
Coach, looking at you as a man who has won the World Cup, people remember you for that. From 2005, people still remember you. Paul Feeney, the guy who won the World Cup with Fiji 7s, remember, when I look at you, I look at inspiration, motivation. Everybody's looking at you as somebody who is going to do something different. We have had coaches, 10 of them, you are the 10th actually, in this country. They have come, they have done their thing, and they have left. Maybe we are looking at a change, maybe, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I was, lucky enough to be involved in the World Cup with Fiji with Wayne Pivac. I'm excited to be here. There's talent here. But, for me it's about just improving structures, improving people, the way they play. And, when I leave here, if I've left the place in better shape, well, I've done my role. So I know there's talent, and then it's up to me and other coaches to untap that talent and let those players become the best they can be. So, that's so exciting. And I've seen it many a time before. So, can't wait to roll my sleeves up, work with these boys. And the next 7 weeks is critical to the Olympic qualifiers. So, not looking past qualifying for the Olympics. But, really good challenge. And I'm excited, to be able to rip into it and help local people. And I'll learn off them as well. So, it's going to be great.
Coach, the World Cup is beginning today. Fiji is playing against Japan, the hosts. Maybe Fiji might win or Japan might win. But again, who are your finalists maybe in this World Cup? What do you think about the finalists? We have Fiji, we have Japan, we have South Africa, we have USA, we have New Zealand. Who do you think is going to be in the final maybe?
Yeah, I think it'll be New Zealand, South Africa. South Africa have come a long way under Rassie Erasmus. They're peaking at the right time. They've got a very powerful side, great goal kicker. I think the weather conditions will suit them, and the All Blacks are looking to win 3 in a row. No one's ever done that. They're very strong. Steve Hansen would have been keeping some things up his sleeve, for sure, especially to do with rush defences. So I'm looking forward to see how that pans out. And the big threats to me are England, Ireland. On their day, they can beat anyone. Wales as well, but I think they'll struggle from an attack perspective. Great defence. So those 5 teams, and then Australia on their day go okay, but I think Australia are slightly behind those 5 teams.
Fiji beat Wales 2007 to win the World Cup.
Yep.
Maybe don't you see them making upsets in the World Cup, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, World Cup, yeah, that's when you get the boys for a few months and you can really, you know, make inroads into your team. You know, I was with Fiji 15s 4 and 5. I did the World Cup qualifying games with Fiji to qualify for the 2007 World Cup. So I know those players very well. Fiji, Japan, they can create upsets in this World Cup. So I certainly hope there is one. I hope the Fijians do it.
Thank you so much, Coach. That is Coach Paul Feeney, Technical Director for the Kenya National Rugby Union that has been appointed. And we hope Kenya is not in the World Cup. The World Cup is on today, is beginning today. And we are not there. Simbas, they never made it. They lost in the repechage in France. But maybe in the next few years, we will be there, hoping that Kenya Rugby Union will be putting all the strategies on the structures right to ensure that the national teams, rugby, Kenya, the Simbas, the Shujas, and ensure that they get to the World Cup, also perform and also blink in a blink of time or blink of an eye. Maybe we can be part of the history in the World Cup, just maybe. From here, the Kenya Rugby Union headquarters, the Harlequins, home of the Harlequins themselves. Back to your studio. Thank you. My name is Jeff Mugire.